You know how to book flights and hotels. All you're missing is a tool to plan the travel experiences you'll have once you arrive. That's why you need Viator. Book guided tours, activities, excursions, and more in one place to make your trip truly unforgettable. Viator has over 300,000 travel experiences to choose from. Everything from simple tours to extreme adventures and all the niche, interesting stuff in between. So you can plan something that everyone you're traveling with will enjoy. Real traveler reviews give the inside scoop from people who've already been on the experiences you're considering. So you can plan with confidence. Free cancellation helps you plan for the unexpected. And 24/7 customer support means you can travel worry-free. Download the Viator app now and use code Viator10 for 10% off your first booking in the app. Find travel experiences for you. Do more with Viator.
The following production is part of the We Be Geeks podcast collective.
From days long ago, from uncharted regions of the universe, comes a legend.
The dream that came through a million years, that lived on through all the tears.
It came here, the Fandom Nexus.
Fabulous secret powers were revealed to our host as he plugged in his microphone.
I have a podcast!
Here he is, your Spider-Pan, Jeremy.
Hello. Yes, we're back for another week. I meant to put something out a little bit earlier. I mentioned last week that I was going to release the audio of talking to Bradley Pierce, better known as Chip from Beauty and the Beast, plus many other bits of animation and I think some video games. He'll talk all about it. Of course, he was also in Jumanji with Robin Williams. So we'll talk all about that here later on the show. But I wanted, of course, we're a little behind on getting any sort of news out to you all or listen to any new trailers. And since we hadn't done anything like that, I thought, well, you know what we ought to do? We ought to go through and just talk about some of it real quick. I don't have a whole lot of time here to put on some stuff. I will say that as far as what I'm watching, third episode of X-Men 97, still enjoying that show. As far as also what I'm playing, I'm still playing, of course, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and still enjoying it. And I think last week I might have mentioned that I actually have, if I have anything else to criticize, and I don't think I said this last week, I was just talking to my wife. There are so many mini games, and I am not that great at mini games. And I came close to getting a platinum on the remake game, but this one I figure I'm going to get nowhere close because some of these mini games I'm never going to ace these mini games. And I've also come across a boss fight in the simulator to fight Odin to unlock the summon materia to summon Odin, and they made him where he's got an instant kill. If he manages to make contact when hits you about 5 times, he just goes into this instant kill mode because he just figures you're not worth his time, apparently, is the personality that they mentioned that he has. And so I'm like, you know what? I tried multiple times, like, I'm just tired of getting the instant kill done to me, so... if I had anything to complain about, that's what I'm complaining about at this point. So other than that, little bits of news, I guess I'll go ahead and hit a button for that.
Spanning the Disney and geek universe to bring you the best in comics, toys, movies, and entertainment. This is news from around Neverland.
Well, the bits of news that I've been getting over the past couple of weeks, I'm just going to touch on a few things here. Variety reported that the flight attendant co-creator Steve Yockey is writing a 4th Star Trek movie set to star Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, and Zoe Saldana, Carl Urban, John Cho, and Simon Pegg. So if you've been enjoying the newer Star Trek films, there's another one on the way. Also, this was fairly impressive. I'm going to get out to it eventually. Money is tight right now. But Godzilla X Kong has like a $50 million plus opening weekend here in the United States, and apparently is doing also very well worldwide. MovieWeb also reports that Ghostbusters Frozen Empire director is put an update out on Netflix animated series. It's a great time to be a Ghostbuster. So yes, a Netflix animated series along the vein of the real Ghostbusters, but with the newer updated cast appears to be on the way, which I'm sure y'all would be excited about that. Well, actually, there we go. The expectations, according to Variety, for Godzilla X Kong actually went over $80 million in its opening weekend. So yeah, that film's doing really, really well. I think some popularity of Godzilla has gone up with the Godzilla -1. I still need to watch that one. I'm sure it'll be available on a streaming service soon. I don't get around to watching a whole lot of TV. Most of the TV time is my wife watching Crunchyroll. So I just let her watch whatever that would happen to be that she's watching on Crunchyroll. Okay, but I do have a couple of trailers, and one of them, I'm wondering where in the world I put it, but there was, there we go. Yeah. A few things I wanted to be able to share with you. So let's just go ahead and jump into the trailer park.
Mama, another gator got in the house.
Another gator? Give me that sugar. Come here.
Get him, Mama. Get that gator.
The Neverland Trailer Park.
When someone tells a story, they create an entire world. And usually, the characters stay there. But there are legends of characters so real.
With the crayon, anything is possible.
That they step right into this world.
Let's see how this baby works in the real world. That is creative. And terrifying. That's terrifying.
Do you know what brought you to life? It's what your crayon is made of. The most mysterious, powerful, extraordinary stuff on Earth. Wax. Pure imagination.
Okay, I am getting really good at this.
What were you thinking?
Oh, no, honestly, I don't do a lot of thinking.
True.
Okay, so coming this August, Zachary Levi in Harold and the Purple Crayon. Let me read the description here for Sony Pictures Entertainment. It says, this August, enter a world where anything you draw comes to life. Zachary Levi, Lil Ray Howery, Tanya Reynolds, and Zoe, I guess not Zoe, Zoe Deschanel make dreams come true in Harold and the Purple Crayon. Inside of his book, Adventurous Harold, played by Zachary Levi, can make anything come to life simply by drawing it. After he grows up and draws himself off the book's pages and into the physical world, Harold learns or finds that he has a lot to learn about real life and that his trusty purple crayon may set off more hilarious hijinks than he thought possible. When the power of unlimited imagination falls into the wrong hands, it will take all of Harold and his friends' creativity to save both the real world and his own. Harold and the Purple Crayon is the first film adaptation of the beloved children's classic that has captivated young readers for decades. I myself never read this book. I'd heard of this book, but I've never read it. But I guess in order to take a short children's book and make it into more of a movie, they had to kind of get creative with a story that would happen, I guess, outside the book. So that is apparently what we've got here going on. I am interested in that. So we'll go for it. I don't think I need to play this trailer right here, but Spider Monday, Spider-Man's coming back to theaters. You know what? Let's just go ahead and play that trailer because how fun is this? And this should be coming actually very, very soon. All 8 of the live-action Spider-Man movies starting April 15th, right on tax day.
I want Spider-Man!
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Did you mean?
You serious?
Go get him, Tiger.
They love me. Dude! There are bigger things happening here. Power feels good.
The secret's never closed. This is bigger than you, Peter. What are you hiding, Peter?
Awesome! I love you guys. Thank you.
All right, so April 15th, I'd be interested to go see the original movie and probably the week after see the second one. I might go see Amazing Spider-Man in a theater again. I've seen every one of these movies in a theater before, but it'd be fun to go and see these again. So I'll probably at least check out the original trilogy and watch those again in the theater. Might be fun. But the Amazing ones were pretty good, and the Tom Holland ones are all right. I did not like the first one of Tom Holland's movies, which you can go and hear all that in previous episodes of the podcast. But it's still kind of a fun and exciting thing to have Spider-Man coming back into theaters. And as far as trailers, I swear I've got a couple more. Yeah, here we go. The Spiderwick Chronicles, which is a series coming to the Roku channel. And I liked the movie, so I'm kind of curious. This is a series. I don't think I read any of the actual books. Maybe I read the first book, but I remember they had a recreation of the Notebook that was supposed to be the actual Spiderwick Chronicles. I read that.
This town is full of stories. Allow me to be your guide through the fantastical world around you.
Welcome to Spiderwick.
It's my fault we had to move here.
You've been going through a hard time for a while now. And we both know it's not getting better.
Once we clean this house up, this will be great. And I know we can all use a fresh start.
Lucinda is my favorite person ever.
Remember the lessons I taught you.
It's full of secrets and surprises.
My father cataloged each and every creature of the invisible world. The pages are in hidden vaults all over Henson.
The Grace family is coming. Arthur Spiderwick's field guide will soon be ours.
Olgarat's a deceiver, a shapeshifter.
The world would be a better place without humans.
Find the pages. Put Spiderwick's field guide back together. You have to help save everyone.
I'm just a kid.
That's why you can succeed.
We want something more.
I'm an ogre. I want everything more.
Can't trust anyone.
A reckoning is coming.
You must be ready for the coming fight.
Having someone believe in you is the most powerful form of magic there is.
So this...
Well, I'm so glad you came.
There we go. This starts April 19th, and you might have recognized the voice of Christian Slater as the ogre villain. It says here in the description on IGN, the Grace family moves from Brooklyn, New York to their ancestral home in Henson, Michigan, Spiderwick Estate. Helen makes the move with her 15-year-old fraternal twin boys, Jared and Simon, and her older daughter, Mallory. Was he supposed to be 15 in the books and in the original movie? I don't think he was a 15. He's supposed to be a younger kid than that, I thought. And it's when he says, "Oh, I'm just a kid," looking at the actor, he doesn't look like a kid. He's look like 19 years old. But anyway, shortly after moving to the Spiderwick Estate, Jared discovers a boggart and realizes that magical creatures are real. The only one to believe him is his great aunt Lucinda, who implores Jared to find the pages of her father's field guide to magical creatures and protect them from the murderous ogre Molgaroth. Which I am interested in this. Now, the dislikes are like 3 times as much as the likes on IGN, but people are basically asking, like, hey, you're not going to beat the 2008 movie. Why not just make a sequel? Do we really need a remake? But this isn't a remake. This is a series. And they can do more with a series, and they can get into all the other books. So I'm interested to check this out and see if they've done a good job. It looks like they've done a nice job with it. So I'm interested in checking that out, and so I'll give it a watch and see if I like it. All righty, and I believe other than this one here, this is called Unfrosted. It's going to be a Netflix exclusive. It's at one point, I thought this was going to be serious when I heard about it, but no.
We are go for launch. T-3, 2, 1. Lift off.
I believe we have split the atom of breakfast. In the early 1960s, the American morning was defined by milk and cereal. And the 2 undisputed giants of the cereal world were Kellogg's and Post.
Major news from the breakfast world. The Post Cereal Company has reportedly invented a shelf-stable fruit pastry breakfast product.
No.
Yeah.
Boy.
It's Post. They did it.
I'm about to finally crush that big red K that never stops glaring at me. How do you think Post did it?
There's always a surprise inside the box.
What if they use xanthan gum?
Xanthan.
Kellogg's is entering the race to reinvent breakfast with the help of Steve Schwinn, Chef Boyardee, and Jack LaLanne.
They're stacking the deck with ringers.
You know Isaiah Lamb from Quaker?
You Kellogg's people.
We're about to have some very powerful people very upset.
You have to win. Are you making any progress?
It's not to scale, but...
What are you guys, 5 years old? Little John draws better than that. And I think there's something wrong with him.
Nobody said this was going to be easy.
We're talking about happy childhoods for millions of American kids. The important thing is the name.
Fruit Magoos! What?
No.
Heat 'em up and eat 'em ups.
No sale.
Oblong nibblers.
Is this a joke?
Whoever gets to the shelves first is going to win this thing.
Give up the tarts, old man!
How did it get this far?
It's breakfast. Things happen.
Isn't this a cereal company? Why did my husband explode?
So coming to Netflix on May 3rd, Unfrosted, I don't know if there's any truth to this at all, the story of Pop-Tarts from Jerry Seinfeld. And it's like an all-star comedy cast, really, when you look at this. I mean, Hugh Grant, I think I saw Jim Gaffigan, and now Bill Burr, I think, is playing John F. Kennedy. I mean, it looks ridiculous, and I think I'm going to watch it because it looks that ridiculous. So, but that is Unfrosted. And when I heard a Pop-Tart movie, I thought maybe it was a neat idea. Like, oh, this is how Pop-Tarts came to be. But now that the trailer's out there, we see its complete silliness, and I am okay with that. All righty. Well, before we get on to our main content, I do want to stop and talk about Dubby. If you go to neverlandpodcast.com, I have a large Dubby logo. It actually just says Dubby. You go in there, or you go to dubby.gg. Use the discount code Neverland to get a discount off of your order. If you're having to be a gamer, you want some gaming energy without the jitters, Dubby has the drink for you. It is a powder mix. You can just mix it in water. Lots of different flavors. Dubby.gg, Neverland, your discount code, or go to neverlandpodcast.com, and I got a link right there on the website, as well as a link for Podgagement. If you happen to have a podcast and you would like to get all of your reviews from around the world, just email to your inbox, plus other great features. Click right there, that link on Podgagement, and take a look. It's brought to you by Daniel J. Lewis, a podcasting Hall of Famer. Literally, he got a Hall of Fame induction at the last podcast movement. So aside from that, moving on, let's just go straight into, while I'm stopping for ads, before we play the Brad Pierce, because I don't want to interrupt the Brad Pierce conversation. We're going to take another quick pause. For those of you that are not subscribers on Patreon or getting the exclusive feed through our Red Circle, which you can find that right there in the show notes there. You can become an exclusive member and remove these ads. There'll be just a quick pause of silence for you. For the rest of you, though, you're going to get some ads right about here, and we'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors. This is how I pay for the show, folks.
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe will be back right after these messages. And now back to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
All righty. For both the heads, because I'm going to share this on Diz Radio because y'all will love it, and also for all you Neverlanders that I'm going to share this with, I got Bradley Pierce here.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Which is fantastic. And if you don't know the name, you have seen his face, you have heard his voice, especially if you're my age, because still my favorite Disney animated is Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
And you were Chip.
I was. That was one of my first big films. I had done some TV stuff. I had done some commercials before that. But voiceover is really how I got it all started. And Beauty and the Beast, I didn't know it at the time, but that was the thing that put my career on a path.
Yeah, and a big path, because you kept doing a lot of work with Disney, and it's all over your poster over here. Return to Neverland, you got to be one of the Lost Boys.
Yeah, I got to take over the role of Nibs. He's the... sorry about that. I'm not sure how much that's picking up, but we're going to do this question again.
Yeah, because that Samson mic will pick up everything, but hopefully it's getting more of you when it's close by
We'll
you.
hope so, but I'll go ahead and give you a cleaner answer as soon as he's done talking.
Announcerus interruptus. That's what we call that.
Announcerus interruptus, yes. I've lost it, but that's okay. We'll get back to the question in a minute.
Nibs.
So I got to take over the role of Nibs when they created the sequel to Peter Pan, Return to Neverland. Nibs only had one line, maybe two, that ended up in the final cut of the first movie. So I had to use that as a start point for the voice. But once that was matched up, all of the rest of it was just characterizations that I got to have fun with.
Awesome. Now, see, the fun part about my initial podcast, it was the Neverland podcast, because the idea was we're never going to grow up. And I've got a nice little picture on my wall somebody got me that's Peter, Wendy, and the boys flying past the clock. And it says, grow wise, grow strong, never grow up. So we consider us all Lost Boys. And until I get a chance to interview one of the Pans, I'm the Pan. And I used to use a clip from Hook. I have Pan's sword, but I have Pan's microphone, really. I'm the Pan now.
I'm the Pan now.
Yes.
I like that.
So being part of the Neverland, you are like you're like the real deal in the Lost Boy now. So This is awesome.
Thank you. I've always kind of felt connected to Neverland, Peter Pan. It was one of my favorite of the classic Disney. Sleeping Beauty was my favorite. Snow White also holds a really close spot in my heart. But Peter Pan, I've always kind of been a Lost Boy.
Yeah.
And, the idea of being able to just play and climb trees and run around is always intriguing. It's always something that we want, because most of us wish we had a few less responsibilities in life.
Right.
And that whole growing up and adulting thing, I wish we could undo it a little bit.
Yeah.
Just once in a while.
But you can get through it. See, my whole idea is stay young at heart. Yeah, I have to mature. I have to, pay bills.
Yeah.
But I still have toys all over my room and all in my office. I keep calling it my room. I have more toys now as an adult than I did when I was young.
Yeah, what's great about it is now we're in a place, hopefully, where you can afford the things that you couldn't do as a kid. I love building Legos. I always have.
There you go.
But now I can get myself a really good set whenever, as a reward for something, or when I just need to escape. One of my favorite Lego sets I actually got for Christmas this year. It was called the Tranquil Garden. And it was like a 2,000-piece set. And it's this meditation garden. And as you're building it, it's in layers. You build a sand layer first, and then a rock layer, and then the grass. And it was such a building experience, which was fabulous.
Which actually, I guess the Tranquility Garden is the idea of course, working the sand over, except for you were building the Legos. It's almost the same result.
Exactly. There we go. It was such a beautiful set because of that. But
so you mentioned some early TV work and some ads. Would there be anything I might remember?
I'm sure there probably was. One of my first commercials was a McDonald's commercial for the Little Mermaid Happy Meal toys. And it's interesting because I still remember the one line that I had or one of the lines I had. I don't know if it was the only one, but it was, take that, Ursula. And I squeezed Flounder and shot Ursula with water.
Oh my goodness.
Now,
I do
this
remember
was right after the movie came out, and it was years before I took over the voice. But that was my first little foray into Flounder. Was in a McDonald's commercial for their Happy Meal toys. Also did some Pepsi commercials, a bunch of other stuff. I was a series regular on a show that has since disappeared called Shaky Ground. Matt Frewer, Max Headroom, played my dad. Jennifer Love Hewitt, who has done all kinds of amazing work since, played my older sister.
Nice.
Worked with Robin Riker and Matthew Brooks as well. It was just a really, really wonderful shoot. We did about 3 years. But it didn't go into syndication, and it's not. I haven't been able to find it anywhere. So yeah, those were all early work for me, and then a bunch of guest spots. I mean, I did Beverly Hills 90210, Mad About You, Roseanne, Days of Our Lives, and I'm sure there's more, but those are the ones that are on the tip of my tongue as things I did like guest spots or a couple of episodes here and there on.
Enough to get you a nice SAG card so you can walk into Beauty and the Beast audition and like, hey, I'm a pro.
Actually, I got my SAG card for doing a voiceover. The old Hallmark TV series, they used to do the animated Fables, basically. And I was in The Emperor's New Clothes.
Nice.
I was the one that was in the crowd and said, the Emperor's not wearing any clothes. And luckily for me, that was the job that pushed me over into SAG.
Nice. So I've also seen on your wall here, of course, we've got some other movie appearances, but Sonic the Hedgehog. So you were the original Tails with Jaleel White then?
That's correct. I was the originator of Tails and Chip, but as Tails, it was an ensemble cast. So that was the first time I really got to work with other professionals and legends within the business. My first day there, and I didn't realize at the time how amazing this room was, but I'm working with Jim Cummings and Christine Cavanaugh and Rob Paulson and basically everybody in the room were these experienced, legendary voice performers.
Yes.
And they're having conversations with themselves in some of these scenes because they're doing 2 or 3 roles each. It was just a phenomenal experience, and it was such a great way to understand the difference between just playing and doing voices and the craft and art of voiceover acting.
Yeah, and making a believable character, even though you're not really going to get to see what they're doing until later.
Exactly.
So have you enjoyed the current incarnation of Tails in these movies?
I have, actually. I've loved all of the evolutions of Tails. He started out simpler, but he keeps getting more complex and getting more nuance. Each time a new voice actor lends themselves to the character evolves and changes. And what it is now is not what I did before, but that's great.
Yeah.
Tails has grown up.
Yeah.
And that is kind of beautiful.
Especially like the very first time we see Tails was Sonic 2, and he's just someone who can use the Player 2 controller to move around another character.
Yeah.
That's why my brother and I could play together. And since I was the younger brother, I got to play with Tails.
There you go.
And I was like, cool, I'm immortal. If I get wiped out, I come right back.
Exactly.
So I was like, if we die and we lose, it's my brother's fault.
It makes sense to me.
So yeah, so it's nice to see that he's grown and become a full-fledged character, which you had a lot to do with, I'd say.
I hope so. I think that developing a character based on something small was the key to all of that. I mean, we use the comic books as our references, but clearly there's not a lot of... The character has no voice, no real cadence or speaking style. So that is something that's been created through waves and waves and waves, and it's great.
And now we got to talk Jumanji, because you got to work with Robin Williams, and how much of a trip was that?
When I found out that I had that I was auditioning for Jumanji, it was initially just it was just another casting office. It was just another set of sides. I knew nothing really about the project until like the third audition, I think it was, and it was in a room where they had the producers and the writers, but this whole space, it was this massive open office with maquettes and storyboards and models of the house. And that was when I realized it was something bigger than I had ever experienced before. And then that first day on set, you walk in and there's all of these amazing people, not just Robin, but Bonnie and Bebe, Kirsten, who I had seen some of her work in Little Women and Interview with the Vampire by then.
Yeah.
And so even though she was my age, she had done more. So it was really, really amazing to be able to connect with people with more experience, more practice, and more expertise. And they were all so welcoming and kind and sharing with that experience.
Yeah. So actually, is that the biggest amount of makeup you've had to wear?
Oh, I think that's the biggest amount of makeup most people end up having to wear. That makeup took 3.5 hours to put on average daily. Initially, it was more like 4 hours. By the end of it, it was probably more like 2.5. But it was at least 3 hours most days. And I was supposed to do 32 days in it. And it ended up being more like 70 by the end of it. Wow.
Announcers, interrupt us. There we go.
All right. But so the makeup was about 3.5 hours a day. It was supposed to be about 30 days. And there was actually another stage of makeup that was animatronic. But it ended up not being able to read emotion as well.
Yeah.
So instead of having the stunt performer in that big mechanical headpiece, it just ended up being me for an additional 30 days. So we're looking at, let's see here, 180, 210 hours, give or take, total of makeup over the course of a few months. That's a lot of time in a chair for a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah. Did they allow room for Robin Williams to do a little bit of improving with some of his stuff on that?
A lot of times they would. It really depended on the scene because some of those scenes, the time was just too expensive, if that makes sense.
That's true.
Especially in some of the things that we only got one take with, maybe two, because there were a lot of sequences that literally would destroy things.
Yeah.
And they didn't get a second shot at that. But whenever it was a possibility, we would usually try to get 2 or 3 takes clean to try to give them what they needed for the script, for the cut. And then they would say, all right, this takes Robin's, let's go ahead and do it. And they would just let him go. And Kirsten and I had to stay pretty much on script.
Yeah.
But Bonnie, Robin, everybody else running with tangents of insanity.
Woo. That sounded like it hurt.
All right. Yeah, thanks. Anyway, yeah. We'll go back to that. I apologize.
Yeah, that's... Well, you've been talking all weekend. I bet your throats are half burnt out.
It's been a long weekend. This is good for now. Thank you. So we would do 2 or 3 takes to try to get exactly the cut that they wanted. And then they would give Robin the opportunity to just kind of go off the rails. And most of us would stay on script. Some of the other professional comedians were allowed to go off book. But they would just let him run. There was one scene, it was at the end of the stampede portion of the house where the Pelican is trying to get the game and they're fighting over it in the living room. I think we sat and did 20 minutes of him just improvising with a puppet. And it was so much fun to watch. And we would all break up completely for a little while.
Yeah.
We'd usually laughing too hard. Take a moment, reset, get everybody back, and we'll go again. And it just kept going in that cycle. But that was so much fun. It was probably literally 20, 30 minutes of on the floor being silly.
Let's see, what I'd still like to see is with these newer Jumanji movies, because it seems like they're still sequels, not a full reboot. They need to have you and Kirsten come back, even for just a cameo.
I completely agree. Initially, they wanted to have it as a separate universe. They wanted to have the first Jumanji sequel be completely separate. Now, that may have been because they had already scripted some of the concepts and were working the Jumanji line into that plot. But in the first sequel, other than mentioning Alan, no reference to the original. The second one, the cafe was called Nora's, and it was run by Aunt Nora. It's the first time they've started to tie the two worlds together, at least in any direct way. And I know that there have been conversations about potentially bringing either Sarah or Judy and Peter back as well in the next one, which I don't know if there's going to be a next one. Nobody has approached me about it, but if they did, I'd probably say yes.
Yeah, because it's been a lot of fun. I was kind of skeptical when I watched that first one. I was like, I don't know if they're going to catch, because like the board game, you had Robin Williams, and The Rock is cool, but of course I love Karen Gillan anyway. Yeah. She's awesome. So,
I think that the Jumanji sequel, Newmanji, was brilliant.
Yeah.
For what it was.
Yeah.
It was absolutely 100% what they promised us. It was a summer blockbuster featuring a bunch of action and comedy stars.
Mm-hmm.
You knew there was going to be effects. You knew there was going to be some stuff blowing up. You knew there was going to be at least one eyebrow raise. These are things that you can count on.
Yeah.
And it delivered.
Yeah.
I don't know if it felt like a Jumanji movie.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the complexities of the characters, a lot of the relationships that were so important in the original movie didn't exist in the same way in the new one. And that's not to say it wasn't a great film, because it was.
Yeah.
But it was a fun summer blockbuster as opposed to a deep personal film.
Yeah. All right, but now, of course, we got to talk some more details on the biggin, Beauty and the Beast.
All right, let's go
now,
back to
Did
Beauty
you
and
get to work? Were you isolated and just by yourself with the director, or did you get to kind of interact with...
all of Beauty and the Beast's... Kansas City.
It's like he knows.
It's almost like we're taking up time that belongs to him. Yes, God. It's not Margaret.
Yeah, I understand it's Sunday and I'm not at church right now, but still. It's actually while I was waiting for it, I run the live stream for my church, and so my wife is trying to set it up with my laptop, and I tried to get her all set up before I left, and she dropped me off here, and like, you're going to be fine. It's not that hard. So, but she had to call because she got confused with some of the equipment hookups and. Okay, so yeah, did you actually get to interact with any other cast, or did they have you record all your lines by yourself? How was that working?
Beauty and the Beast was recorded almost entirely independent. They recorded the songs together, but Chip didn't sing.
Yeah.
So I would see some of the other actors occasionally. Either they'd be in the booth and I would be coming in and they'd be on their way out, or vice versa. But I never really got to work with any of the other actors. Now, that's not to say I wasn't working with incredibly talented people, because the voice directors and the engineers in the booth were able to either give me playback or give me enough information about what the read needed to be emotionally that they could stitch everything together. And being able to understand the complexity of emotion and response without having that person to feed back really helped me develop that skill as an actor, because being able to follow emotion becomes easier when you can do it without it, if that makes any sense.
I'm double checking before. I was like, I don't remember if I hit the button. Yes, I did. I was about to say, what if I have a paranoid brain? Sometimes like I look just to make sure it's running.
It's always a good idea.
Yes. Well, I was even reminding Katie Lee, like first time I had her on the podcast, my software I was recording with failed and it corrupted the file. And she came on like the very next night. We acted like we didn't have the conversation just the night before. So I get paranoid like, oh man, this is good. I hope I'm getting this. So what all have you all, other than, of course, I see the Oz Kids, and of course you were the replacement flounder, the new flounder for the animated series of Little Mermaid, which I watched that one too. So I would say Beauty and the Beast is my number one movie. Favorite princess is still Ariel. That might be because I have a weird thing for redheads. That could be it, but...
You're not the only one, my friend.
I know. That could be it. I still married a brunette, but that's okay.
I think my favorite princess, as far as like attitude and energy, was probably Belle. I love that she was kind of the misfit, the oddball, but she didn't mind. She was comfortable enough with who she was that it was fine.
Yeah.
And she didn't have, I guess, the troublemaker streak, you could call it, that tends to be a part of the Disney princesses.
Yeah, and the odd thing is, like, such a fan of Ariel that I married somebody more like Belle.
There it is.
And the weird thing is that she's taller than me, so I always say, if anybody else calls you Beast, then I'll rip their lungs out, as the Joker would say.
I like that.
Because she's taller than me, so I'm like, she's the Beast one between the two of us. So, but yeah, she's very much a book smart person. She's a biology teacher. I was like, I married Belle. I seriously did, because she's also quieter, but she's confident enough in herself. But although occasionally dealing with kids is not.
God.
So, well, what other type of things have you worked on that maybe nobody knows that you've done? Like, because the Oz Kids, I'd never heard of that. That looks like it was a cute little Wizard of Oz show.
Yeah, the Oz Kids was obviously based on the Wizard of Oz. I played one of the Cowardly Lion's children. He had two,
fun.
Boris and Bella. But basically, it was literally the children of the Wizard of Oz cast that we all know.
Neat. Okay.
And that was a lot of fun. And I remember a lot of the times in the booth with that one, just because they were trying to bring in as much of the original Oz books as they could, mythologically, and the story behind it. And then there's been some other stuff that I've done recently, but give me.
All right. Yeah. So what have you been working on lately?
I've actually been doing a lot of self-produced stuff lately. I have a project that's running on Amazon right now that I produced and played one of the leads in.
Nice.
It's called Deacon, Deacon, like a member of the church, and it's sort of a supernatural thriller. Other than that, it's been a lot of background voices, cartoons, some video game stuff.
Nice.
But most of those are unnamed characters. They're just sort of like background things, the audio version of an extra. So I could give you credits, but you'd have to watch entire movies to maybe be able to pick out one little voice in the background. So probably not great work to try to find. But Deacon is out there. Deacon's really cool. It was produced super low budget, but it's still a pretty good project, I thought. And other than that, I'm not doing a whole lot. I bartend in real life.
Well, that kind of makes me wonder with a lot of background voices, like even the hat I'm wearing, Final Fantasy VII with the remake. There's a lot of big names that are actually background. Like you've got at least 2 Spider-Men who've done some background voices with Yuri, who's the current Spider-Man in the games, and also the voice from Spectacular Spider-Man. Did you get to work on any of these?
I worked on Kingdom Hearts, actually.
Nice.
I was in. I did background voices for 1.5 and 2.
Awesome.
Or 2 and I don't even remember. That's horrible.
Yeah, I'm still stuck on Ursula on the first one. I never could beat Ursula.
Yeah, some of those levels on the first one were just so hard.
Yeah. But this was great. So I've been here, of course, for anybody who missed it, with Bradley Pierce. It's been great talking to you. I'm going to let you get to your table because you're starting to get busy.
Thank you, friends. All right.
But I'll check out Deacon because I do have access to you said Amazon, right?
Yeah, it's running on Amazon right now.
Awesome. I'll check it out.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Good
talking to you.
I'm going to shake your hand while we're standing here.
All right.
Love your Mickey Mummy, by the way, on your shirt.
Runaway Brain.
Oh, yeah. They need to put that one on Disney+.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. All right. Have a great day, friend.
Great. Okay, this is the part where I thank Karen Kennedy, Ricky Pope of Christian Nerds Unite, and Darren Wilhite of the Will Height and Wall Show for helping me out with the show by helping me create that nice intro. I remind you that you can send us an email, podcast@neverlandpodcast.com. I probably should update and get a new website one of these days. We are on Twitter or X at NeverlandPcast. We're on Facebook, both a fan page and a group. The group, I have fun little questions that pop up that we can ask and we can interact. So jump in there to the Facebook group and have some fun with us. And you can officially join the Neverlanders on NeverlandPodcast.com. You can become a Lost Boy or a Pixie. Why do we have Pixies? Because girls are too clever. They don't get lost. And, of course, don't forget you can donate through our Patreon, and you'll find those links for Patreon right there on NeverlandPodcast.com. Or if you just got a Patreon, search for Neverland Podcast. All righty, and that is our show for this week. So now, get lost in an adventure, and I'll see you next time.